I love it when we have good news to report to you. And I have really good news from California, where a Fresno County Superior Court judge has ruled that abstinence only sex education programs don't really count as sex education and actually are in violation of California law. This is Judge Donald Black, who said, quote, access to medically and socially appropriate sexual education is an important public right, and that there is a particular school district in California, which is what started this entire thing, which is promoting, quote, medically inaccurate information. We heard from Philida Burlingame, a reproductive justice policy director for the ACLU, that, quote, this is the first time that abstinence only until marriage curricula have been found to be medically inaccurate. I love this, Lewis, because the argument from the right has been for a long time, no, we aren't including everything that some sex ed programs include, but this is not an inaccurate way to teach sex education. And now a judge has said, oh, no, 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 actually, this is inaccurate and it's in violation of California law.
This is great. It's good for the students. You know, the whole thing is kind of like it's almost like preaching ignorance, almost. And yeah, this is great.
And the issue here involved Clovis Unified School District's curriculum, which some parents said was promoting celibacy before marriage. It wasn't mentioning contraceptives. In some cases, it even said that birth control was ineffective when they did mention contraceptives. And they also had these videos which likened sexually experienced women to dirty shoes, and they promoted sexual orientation bias with a, quote, one man, one woman, one life mantra. I don't think it's any surprise, Lewis, that the abstinence-only, non-science so-called sex ed class was also anti-gay. My surprise level is 0 at that.
I think if we could take those who formed that curriculum, we could probably predict everything they think about, every topic on the show, we could predict how they'd answer.
The entire argument of teaching abstinence for sex ed is as if you were to say, listen, until kids legally can drive, we don't want to ever get them behind the wheel of a car. We don't want to teach them about seatbelts. We don't want to teach them about following the speed limit laws, because that's just going to encourage them to drive. And then when they finally get behind the wheel of the car, they don't have the experience. They don't have the knowledge that if you drive at twice the speed limit, that's really, really dangerous. And then their use of the vehicle is much more irrational and dangerous. It's the exact same thing that we're talking about here with regard to sex education.
I think you could apply that same logic to just about everything, right? Drugs and alcohol. I mean, what are you going to tell kids? Just, never touch this stuff. Just never use it. It's just bad. That's all we're going to tell you about it.
In fact, we see that here in the U.S. when we look at the age 21 drinking age, and not the same culture as we see in Europe, where maybe when you're 12 or 13, you have, a quarter inch in your glass of wine with dinner. You start to see people responsibly consume alcohol. And then by the time you're 18, 19, or 20, the desire to go out and binge drink seems almost childish, because you've been around alcohol and consuming bits of wine for a long time. It's very similar.
And how many people have you met or stories have you heard when the first time they drank, they either got alcohol poisoning, and, many people die the first time they party because they just are clueless.
And let's all work together to reduce abortion, right? I thought that's what we wanted. I am someone who is pro-choice and believes that abortion should be legal and accessible and safe and affordable for women. And I want to do everything we can to reduce the number of abortions that's necessary. The right claims to want to reduce the number of abortions that takes place. We know that banning abortion doesn't do it. We know that reasonable same-sex education does. Let's work. Who on the right wants to work with me to follow the evidence and reduce the number of abortions? It seems like they're concerned with something else.
And how foolish are you if you think that if you just tell kids not to have sex before they get married, that they just won't? That's pretty naive.